Why would you expect an error and how to do that? TypeScript provides a lot of ways to affect how does the compiler type check our code base, like type annotations, lots of keywords and lots of constructs and different types, but also it allows us to modify how does the compiler work via commands. And two of the most important commands that TypeScript introduced is the @TSIgnore and the @TSExpect error. So let's see how do they differ. So let's run a line that is going to fail. So what we can see is that the line number 3, even though there is an empty line over here, is being affected by the TSIgnore over here. So it doesn't matter that there is an empty line or there is a command, whatever, this is just going to vanish, this is irrelevant. So this line is basically becoming silent, is becoming ignored by the compiler, is just the next meaningful line. So if we just put any line of code, whether it's relevant or not, this one is not, but this is just outside of the TSIgnore. Let's just still make it quiet via the TSIgnore directive, and let's take a look at the more interesting directive, which is the TSExpect error, which in very short allows us not only to check whether a given code base would run in an expected way in JavaScript runtime, like in unit tests or integration tests, but also we can check whether in compile time a given TypeScript line of code is going to throw a compilation error or not. So here we are expecting that it will. So let's see this in practice. Let's declare a function which would allow us to execute both the correct and incorrect calls. So let's call it accept object, and let's accept an object deliberately with the uppercase O, and let's make it return void. So what we expect is that if we run this function with just an empty object, this is going to work. If this is being executed with the empty array, this is still going to work. If we run it with a function which is still an object, this is yet again going to work. Now, what we might expect is that when we run this function with a primitive, this should fail, and as we can see, it doesn't. Again, if we run this function with a string, which is also a primitive, it also should fail, which it doesn't. And when we expect something to fail, we don't annotate it, like this is not an annotation, this is not a decorator, but we just put the comment over here that the next line should fail. And as we can see, it doesn't fail. So this is a problem. It should fail, but it doesn't. Now, if you're interested in like what is going on here, like this uppercase object should remove the primitive types from itself, like the number and string and boolean, etc. Check out my other video about the topic, about the object and object types in TypeScript. But still, this is basically incorrect. So what we should put here is the lowercase object. Now, if the line was not here, then this would cause an error, like both of them would cause an error. So we put the TSExpect error because we expect that this is an incorrect call. However, if we try to run the same thing with the null and undefined, this is still going to fail, as in the lowercase and both uppercase object null and undefined are not part of the types, so we still expect that they would be objects. So all in all, you can treat the TSExpect error command as if it was kind of a unit test that is going to check whether your function, your type declaration, your generic interface, generic type, generic function invocation, whatever that is, that it would basically fail. So this is awesome in a way that you can not only check whether something is correct, but also you can make an assertion that you expect an error.